meeting to order. We are here for fiscal year 23-24 general budget workshop, the ongoing saga. Josh, maybe you can come up with a better name besides saga. That would be my Nordic background. We gave the clerk some new numbers at the last meeting. She's just given us back some reports on that. We have some other decisions to look at and make. I'm going to start with the clerk and what you found or what came out of the changes you made already, if you would start us off.
Okay, so if you look at the top sheet that looks like this.
Yeah.
This is the one that has the summary of what the original budget was, what the new budget is, what the budget reductions are for every fund. Currently, we're sitting at 1.163 million that we've removed from the budget.
Removed from the budget.
So those items, if you flip back to the next 3 pages, are identified individually and what dates they were completed on in our budget system. And then the ones that are in yellow have not been done for various reasons.
Madam Clerk, I don't know that we have yellow on.
No,
we don't have yellow. Okay, so 1A is yellow.
Okay.
1A, number 5 is yellow. Number 8 and 9 are yellow. And that's it.
And yellow means what again?
They're not done. They need decisions to be made before I'll do them.
All right. So when I'm looking at the budget, are we to a passable budget when we add in the income, or how much in cuts did we come up with the other day? 1.163?
No. So on the first page.
Yeah.
Yes, 1.163.
Okay. Then I am reading it right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought you were looking at a different
You really had me worried there.
So that does include all of the items that are on these 3 sheets with the exception of the yellow. And it also includes down number 12, 13, and 14 that you're going to discuss today.
Yes.
So I moved the express bus. We need you to formally tell me I can do that to LATCF. 13, removed all 1% COLA for all employees for solid waste. And I talked to Shelby and she said you guys agreed to a $2 an hour increase for all full-time employees. So I built that in as well. Those are included in what you're seeing on this first page.
Okay.
So if you decide not to do that, that is going to be about 2 days worth of work to put it back.
Understand. So let's just deal with those first. We had voted the other day, 2 of us had to do a 1% COLA. I have informed the clerk the other day that I was changing my thinking on that. I've had a dozen conversations with elected officials, private citizens. The treasurer and I sat down and talked just to get her perspective on it as somebody who's been around here for 19 years, and she clarified she was 17 when she started. So that's why I even had a conversation with Joe Avery, and he was awake during the entire conversation. I've had several conversations. So commissioners, I know we had already voted on that. I informed the clerk that I was ready to shift my position on that. I am concerned that we are going to that we are plugging the hole with one-time cash this time, meaning that we're going to have more cuts next year as we try to solve the problem of the county being overcommitted by hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars a year and over what we take in. I think it clouds the issue if we tell the public that we're in a financial crisis, but we're still giving an increase. More importantly, I am concerned that an increase now of 1% may mean that we're contributing to having to cut positions or cut pay next year. And lastly, to be perfectly selfish, right now, this commission did not create this problem. The former folks that, we've created an untenable situation. If we vote on a cost of living increase now next year, I couldn't say that we didn't help further the problem. We're creating more funding that we don't even have the resources yet to know if we could pay for them. So we may be giving a 1% increase that we have to take back next year. I don't think we have enough information to know that. So I'm going to re-entertain, and I would like to motion that we reconsider the 1% and that we just ask the employees to hold the line without an increase this year. So I'm going to move that we remove the 1%, which I've already asked the clerk about doing, which is how we got to the numbers she's presented.
But not for roads.
But not for
You
what?
have to spell that out, not for the road department.
No, I'm removing 1% for everybody.
You increased the road department $2 an hour.
Oh, solid waste?
Oh, solid waste.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
solid
not
waste.
Pardon. Wrong one.
Okay. Yeah.
It's
So
written there. I just said it wrong.
So there wouldn't be a 1% for solid waste. There would be instead of the $4 an hour that would have got them up to the pay scale of the roads department, I negotiated with solid waste, explained our situation. They graciously accepted that they'd be honored if we could do something to honor our promise, and so offering them half of the increase at $2. Again, the exception here is that they were promised for some time now that this would be fixed. So we'd be removing the 1% for everybody in the county. We'd still be honoring half of our commitment to roads to solid waste by giving them the $2. And those are the numbers that the clerk has figured in here. So that would be my motion. We remove the cost of living, but that we still honor half of our commitment to solid waste with the $2. Does anybody want to second that? Or not?
Well, one of the things that I'm looking at is with solid waste. Let's kind of back up a little bit and see. They're behind they've been behind for how long?
Several years.
Several years.
And one of their lowest paying hourly wage is $16 an hour, and we're having a hard time finding somebody with a CDL that will work for $16 an hour. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the problem we have. And then roads is competing with them. So I'm kind of torn between doing any raises at this point because of the fact that we don't have the money to pay for it. But, on the other hand, they cut their budget completely down from last year.
So they would actually have a lower budget.
They'd have a lower budget, even lower, $100,000 lower than what they, with the pay. So,
would you prefer I separate my motions, the COLA and the wage? Or?
Yeah, let's separate it for now.
All right. I withdraw my original motion. I will motion that we do no cost of living increase for the county this year.
I'll second that motion.
All right. Any discussion?
No. I just want to point out that our employers are very important and valuable. They provide services to our taxpayers. We lose some of this. It's going to cost us more with less trained, less services that will be provided. My hopes is that they will stick with us. And they are also not just employees, they also pay their taxes too in this county. And have faced the inflation as everyone else has.
Absolutely true.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. To quote Joe Avery twice in 1 week, his comment the other day that this is not again because we want to not give the raises. I think it's because I'm not convinced we have the funds to cover the raises. So. All right. So any other discussion? We had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries that we won't do a cost of living, which is what the clerk has already figured in. Second motion, I will motion that we give the solid waste department half of what was promised, which I have already discussed with them, and they have graciously accepted. Obviously, they're feeling the pressure of nobody else in the county getting anything, but we have been promising that for several years. So I'm motioning that we do a $2 an hour increase that does not bring them up to the public works pay scale, but it starts to solve the problem.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
No.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
1 nay. Okay. All right. And I can appreciate Commissioner Zimmerman's position on that as well. All right. So, Madam Clerk, that puts us in line with what you have written here, right?
I also moved from the 25, where is that? 25,000 for the express bus match will come from LATCF funding for the next 4 years, and apparently that had been decided beforehand, but I wasn't aware of it. And other minor adjustments that were found in the review of everything, and plus some that, like Tracy gave me one.
So would it make sense to go through the yellow items now and discuss the rest of those?
We can.
Would that make sense? So 1A is 2 new SCSO cars moved out of to LATCF, moved out of the budget. Right now, those 2 cars are still in the budget, right?
They
or the lease payments are?
The lease payments, I don't know. I should think about that. I haven't looked at that one anymore.
I thought we'd already removed those, so that's why I wanted to double check.
Doesn't that look like a lease payment, Sheriff, the 27? Because that wouldn't be a full car.
No, it is not in there. Lease payments is 100% zero right now.
Okay.
So it's the 2 cars that are sitting at Dave Smith that I'm talking about. I don't know where those are going.
Okay.
They're not in capital, and they're not in lease this current year.
Where do they need to be if we want to pay for them out of LATCF?
In LATCF, not here. But I don't know that that's done yet, so
What do we need to do to?
you guys have to decide how you're going to fund them. And if
I thought we had
get
already done that one, so.
I believe we did.
But we can do it again.
Well, we were wondering about the
We're still.
other stuff going on with them. So.
Well, we know that we have to go through a bid process,
Right.
but I think to award the bid I think the commission is agreeing that we're going to use LATCF funds.
Okay, then I'll leave them out and I'll cross
Okay.
it out.
Okay.
Is that
That's
what
yeah,
we've all
we've done.
agreed on? So,
Makes sense.
so that takes care of 1A. That was a change. Number 5.
Number 5 will only come into play if we can get SHSP money, which takes time to get, which will only reduce the LATCF funds. The dollars are already out of the budget. It's just a note to relook at that later and see if we can use another grant to save LATCF funds.
Okay.
Number 8 was that money held in a trust account under property infrastructure and improvement was a fund that the former boards had been using to put the sale of properties into to be used for improving properties for selling future properties. Given the nature of the emergency, I would entertain a motion that we move those funds to CE, current expense.
Current expense, and I will second that motion.
Any discussion?
I kind of understood about using it on that the medical property, the property that was sold to the hospital. That possibly we have to remove the sewer line or do the sewer line, but I guess if that happens, we'll have to cross that road. So that's an if.
It is an if.
Okay.
And we will have to come up with something else.
Okay.
But,
All right.
so, any other discussion?
No.
All in favor of that motion to move it to current expense?
Aye.
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 Okay, so number 8 is acted upon.
So do we need a resolution to move that, right? So you guys will have to have a resolution done to do that.
So Sydney, if you'd make note of that, please. Number 9 is the if we sell the Maverick property, which is in the plans for the next month, that money would be deposited into current expense, and that we would use that as revenue for 24. I'd entertain a motion that we agree to the proceeds from the Maverick property will be deposited into current expense. Does that do what you need?
Well, I wanted to ask a question with Ben on that. Can we move it to different funds besides current expense? Can we put some in current expense, some in justice, some in, or once it gets there, can we move it? Because that's really the way it's going to help us, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I think for purposes of the budget, though, at least an acknowledgement that it's going into current expense will get us through the budget approval process, correct? From your perspective, I mean, it's allocating funds to revenue for the county.
But I'll need to know within the next few days because that's what's going to set our levy rates for every one of the funds.
Well, could we open the budget if we had to move it in the future?
I don't think that.
I don't think that solves what she's talking about.
Okay.
Because justice has its own levy, appraisal's got its own levy, everybody has its own levy except for all the funds in current expense. If we put it all in current expense, we're going to have more money than we can levy for.
I see. Yep.
I will research that for you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
So we can't really take action on that today, but we've got to make a decision by
I think you can take action on it pending
finding out that there's
future objection from legal. I think that's a fair motion.
Okay. Well, I would entertain a motion that pending any different word from legal, that we go ahead and agree to deposit those funds into the current expense when that sale closes.
Okay. So move.
You feel like seconding that?
I'll second it, but also with the
We get
A
discussion.
statement.
Yeah.
This is only a temporary fix, and I think after an audit, we need to see where we're at, and if this isn't going to work, just putting money into it, and then next year when we come back and having to, we don't have any more money to put into it. So I think if we do an audit and find out that we're either way, we're going to have to open the budget. Then, and I would like to have that done soon so that we know how we're going to be looking next year.
I think we've already agreed that we want that outside help to
Yes.
resolve the problem. Logically, if we're taking $2 million out of our one-time cash to solve the problem and we don't have that next year, we still have a $2 million of cuts or some other solution next year. So I think it's good that we keep reminding the public that we're temporarily fixing the problem, but we have to permanently fix the problem.
Yes.
Because that $2 million won't be there again next year. Do you have anything that you'd like to add to that motion? We have a motion and a second discussion. All right. All in favor of moving the Maverick funds to CE when it closes, please say aye.
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 Motion carries for number 9 to use the sale of the Maverick property as revenue. I think I've covered all of your yellow. I think my question now
Did you need
is,
something from us on 12?
I didn't have 12 circled.
No.
Match. Okay.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do you have any idea with those things that we just voted, where that leaves us on an L2?
No.
Do you think we have what we need to pass a legal budget?
As long as we can put the money where it needs to go. For revenue.
Meaning the revenue.
If I put it all in current expense, I can't levy current expense because I have too much cash there. And I won't be solving the problem in justice levy, which is the one that's right up there. So that's what I'd propose that we would put in.
All right. So in your mind, is the next step we have to hear from legal on that?
And I'll start working on the LT.
Okay, commissioners. I'm trying to decide if we need, do we need to look at any further cuts? We don't have enough information to
That's what I need to use.
know.
Someone
It's
said
pretty
general.
broad.
It is, but
I
someone
think
said
it's
general
a
fund.
fair statement to say right now, in my mind, we're going to have to find $2 million in cuts over the next 12 months, or $2 million in new revenues, or some combination thereof. Or we still have the problem that the county spends more than it's taking in,
I get something in writing.
unless an outside audit can show us
Thank you.
that there's been an error.
And I think that's where our goal is, just to make sure where we're at.
I think we have to make sure, because right now, I think everybody, I mean, we've all wanted to pad this. I know we've talked about trying to step this down for employees, but the truth is next year is going to be a tough year because we're still spending more than we're taking in. So I think we need to be honest with everybody about that. I just got an interesting letter accusing us of trying to shrink government on purpose. Anybody who's watched all of our meetings would get the idea that's not what we're out to do. I think we're trying to protect our services as much as possible, but we do spend more than we take in. So does anybody, elected officials, have anything that you would like to add? And I'll just start with the clerk here. Anything else you'd like to add? Madam Treasurer?
No.
Mr. Prosecutor?
Just a few small points. Throughout the budget process this year, I've heard a lot of discussion, and obviously I know our news press has done a great job of just generally trying to cover and keep our community updated on the current status of the budget. I think one of the misconceptions that troubles me a little bit, I've been with the county for a little bit shy of a decade now, and analyzing the budgets as they come through, I do not believe that our county is overspending. I think the reality of our budget crisis is that we need to find answers for additional revenue. I think we should be striving on behalf of our taxpayers and the services we provide, the government entity being a business at the end of the day, having employees, having managers, having departments, and having a customer, which is our community. I think that we need to strive to get to a point where we can be providing the services that each of our elected officials and department heads believe are necessary in order to run their department in a manner that is efficient, effective, and also complying with their legal obligations. So, on behalf of my role in the county, I would just like to dispel any rumor from my perspective that our county is overspending, and instead identify that really our goal should be increasing our revenue sources so we can get our county to a point where it is similarly situated to other counties in the area in providing the services both to our constituents and also taking care of our employees at the same time.
It's a very good way of looking at it.
Yep.
Thank you. Madam Sheriff?
I couldn't agree with you more. I think in the coming months, we really need to work together and try and find ways to solve this, get creative. We need to not just pass the budget and worry about it later on. We need to be as active as possible. I also wanted to thank the commissioners for taking the time to meet, answer questions, and really with the focus of making as little impact as possible on the employees. Like at our office, we consider each other family, and it's like my priority to take care of my family. And I appreciate the effort you've all put into this, trying to minimize that. So just throwing it out there that I'm open and willing to do whatever I can to be a team player and trying to find solutions for the upcoming budgets.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Mr. Assessor?
I've got two things, just for clarification as I'm looking at this. Is there an increase for the prosecutor and deputy prosecutors in this also?
That is correct. The prosecuting attorney's wages reflect a internal adjustment that was independent of the COLA based upon market rates for hiring necessity. That was outlined in the budget adjustment report that was submitted earlier this week to the Commission.
I think that sends a horrible message to our employees. But I'll leave that be. When you're talking revenue, here's a list from last year. From one appraisal area, one appraiser, that shows building activity with no permits. All of these should have permits. I'm guessing there's probably 50 or 60 here. So these people have not received a permit. There is no recourse if they don't get a permit. The price of the permit is a loss to revenue. Plus, however long they're on, have been billed and not put on the tax rolls, is a loss to revenue. And also, answer me this, Commissioner, how do we get an increase in our budget? It's 3% and
Revenue.
new construction. So this is left out of the new construction. So far this year, and this doesn't include the 6 they found yesterday. Here's some more. So this one, here's a cabin, a 40 by 60 pole building, a 24 by 40 cabin, another roof cover, a 24 by 40 dwelling, decks, another cabin. That's just so far 3 weeks of this year. So if you want to talk revenue, here you go. I've brought this up time and time and time again. It is ignored. And if you guys would like to keep ignoring it, please let me know. Because I'll quit having our appraisers making a list of it and just put it on the tax rolls.
Well, this is the first time I've heard this, so if you bring it in, and why don't you give it to Dan so that Dan can go do something about it?
We have given it to Dan. One occasion we gave it to Dan. Dan's remark was, is it in the creek? What do you mean it's in the creek? I don't care.
So we gotta work together, and that's what we gotta figure that out.
And
We've gotta have somebody with code enforcement or something to do with that.
tell you, when we tried working together, it was ignored.
Not by this commission.
Well, this commission's been in here 6 months.
Yeah.
So here's your list of revenue, folks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good revenue. And it gets left out of the new construction.
Could I get a copy of that? I'll personally work on it.
We'll put it in a better format.
Okay.
This is just so he can track it.
Okay.
This is his own, but it's sheds. Last year, here's a dwelling, porch covers, greenhouses.
So this is just structures that are being built without obtaining a permit.
That should either have either a building permit or a setting permit. Bathhouse, 19 by 30 lean-to, carport.
Are the permits all the same cost, or does it depend on what type
On
of
the
structure?
value of the
I see.
improvement.
Can we make them do something after that, Ben? Is there some legal?
Cabin, a
We
cabin.
have to analyze it.
Okay.
So
Not
I
in a
can-
position to give input
I
on
can
that.
guarantee you that there will be a flurry of activity after this year in the St. Joe. Because once they know we've been down there, there's a flurry of activity, so they know it won't go on the tax rolls for probably 4 years. So,
Okay.
I
Good
mean,
point.
Good
Yeah,
information.
thank you.
Dan has said he has no bite to this. So maybe work with Dan to give him some bite and authority to say, okay, it's going to be 10 times what the permit would have been. Or the inspection, if they want to dig up their footings so they can be inspected and rip out walls so that make sure the plumbing and electrical is thoroughly inspected. I'm sure he could work with the state electrical inspector to say, you know, all these that have electricity in them need to be inspected. I think once you do that, you would probably send a strong message and you'd see a lot of this come to a halt. So I have no way of knowing, but I would guess a lot of these are summer places, people from outside the county. Shoshone County ain't gonna do anything about it. Why get a permit? So.
Good point.
Thank you, Jerry.
Good point. And that's the kind of thing we've got to find is fair revenue, besides just property tax. So, all right. Do I have all the elected department heads? Any comments?
I would just like to thank the board and all of the elected officials that sit here and represent the community that elected them. These are very difficult meetings to get through, very difficult discussions, very difficult conversations. And what really comes across to me is how much each and all of you care about your employees and about the community. And I would just like to say thank you for that.
Okay. Colleen, anything?
No, everybody said
Public comment?
great
Matt?
things.
Ditto.
Yeah,
I'll
ditto.
save it until after I get to see all the papers.
I mean, Tuesday? What papers?
The
Oh,
ones you guys got.
oh, I see. Okay. Mr. Avery?
Seems like you guys are doing about the best you can do with what you got to work with.
That's a fair assessment.
I would ask Jerry, I thought we used to have a building inspector that come out and did all this that you were talking about.
Oh, we have a building inspector.
He just doesn't have the authority or what?
I don't know.
It's a contract building inspector. That might be a difference. I don't know. Okay. Commissioners, any final comments?
Well, I think everyone's input, especially our elected officials, and our employees are very valuable. And I hope we can get through this year and look for something better.
Margie, I forgot you. Public comment? No, didn't think so, but I thought I'd check. Jeff, anything?
No, we'll get through it. We'll do the best that we can do, and
So our logical steps, just so we're all on the same plan, because I don't want to wait till Tuesday and then have a surprise. You're waiting to hear from the prosecutor on the legality of where those funds can be distributed.
And do you want me to make that decision and put them where I think they need the most? Or do you want to have another meeting and discuss it?
Commissioners, what are your thoughts? When are you thinking you'll be doing that?
I don't know. It's going to take me some time to get through it. I wasted a day and a half with new things, so.
I don't see any reason not to have her apply it where it best fits the numbers.
yeah, because we can always look at it.
I mean, we'll look at Tuesday, but
Yeah.
But Tuesday we are voting on a final budget, right?
Yep.
So
You
that
can put it off for 1 week, but you have to present it to the public at the public meeting and discuss it and then decide if you want to still have it come under another review and another meeting. But you have to have it done by, I think, the following Monday.
okay.
Okay.
All right. Is there anything else you need from the commission?
No.
Okay. I think I've given everybody. Mr. McDonald, did you have any public comment?
I was just wondering how much is anticipated in total from the Maverick sale.
That is something I'll need as well.
I'll have to look at that. It's two
2 point something.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know the number. 2.4 or 2.2 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
2.4.
Commissioner Zimmerman, you're supposed to be on top of that.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, we
Okay.
got one side of that done today, so.
Good.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, do you have any?
Well, I thank Tammy and her clerks for all the countless hours lately that they've been in, early mornings, late nights, weekends.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you do at 4 a.m. when you can't sleep?
Come to work.
The new plan. Okay. It's not much of a plan. All right. I think we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Sheriff.